The Lightning Carrier, the rebirth of American power. The hook. Imagine a fortress that moves across the ocean at 30 knots, carrying the most advanced stealth fighters ever built. Now, imagine that same fortress has no well deck, the very thing that defined amphibious ships for a century. When the USS America, LHA-6, was first announced, the critics called it a mistake. They said a ship without a way to launch landing craft was a ship without a purpose. They were wrong. What they didn't realize was that the Pentagon wasn't building a transport ship. They were building a predator. They were building a lightning carrier designed to strike from the horizon before the enemy even knew the sky had turned against them. The architecture of defiance. The story of the USS America begins in the design rooms of Huntington Ingalls Industries in Mississippi, but its soul was forged in the lessons of 21st century warfare. For decades, the Wasp-class amphibious ships were the Swiss Army knives of the Navy. They had well decks, massive internal bays that flooded with water to launch hovercraft and tanks. But the designers of the America did something radical. They filled in the well deck. They replaced the water and the tanks with aviation fuel, ammunition magazines, and massive hangars. They turned the ship into a dedicated hive for the F-35B Lightning II. By sacrificing the ability to crawl onto a beach, they gained the ability to dominate the airspace of an entire continent. This was the birth of the aviation-centric powerhouse, a ship that stands as long as a skyscraper and acts as the ultimate mobile airfield. The Steel Guardian of the Pacific. Launched in 2012 and commissioned in 2014, the USS America didn't just join the fleet, she disrupted it. At nearly 45,000 tons, she is technically an amphibious assault ship, but to the adversaries watching from across the sea, she looks like a medium-sized aircraft carrier with a chip on her shoulder. Her first major test wasn't a battle of cannons, but a battle of logistics and endurance. During her America Visits the Americas maiden transit, she sailed around South America, proving that her gas turbine engines, a massive upgrade over the steam plants of old, could push her through the roughest waters of the Strait of Magellan with the grace of a frigate. But her true destiny lay in the Indo-Pacific. Stationed in Sasebo, Japan, the America became the tip of the spear. She is the centerpiece of Expeditionary Strike Group 7, patrolling the most contested waters on Earth. When tensions rise in the South China Sea, it is the shadow of the America that reassures allies. The lightning strike, the F-35B revolution. In the amaze factor of the USS America lies in her synergy with the F-35B. Before this ship, vertical takeoff jets like the Harrier were limited. They were close air support. But the F-35B is a fifth-generation stealth assassin. In a historic exercise known as the Lightning Carrier concept, the Navy loaded the America with 20 F-35Bs. Suddenly, this assault ship had more fifth-generation strike power than most entire national air forces. The world watched as the America proved she could function as a light carrier, providing a flexible, lethal alternative to the massive $13 billion Ford-class supercarriers. The ship's deck is coated with a special heat-resistant material to survive the sun-hot blast of the F-35B's engines. Every inch of her interior is optimized for the turn, the high-speed refueling and rearming of aircraft. In a high-end fight, the America doesn't wait for the enemy to come to the beach. It sends her Lightning 500 miles inland to dismantle the enemy's radar before they can even scream. A fortress of the future. Beyond the jets, the America is a city of 1,200 sailors and nearly 1,900 Marines. She is equipped with a hospital that can handle mass casualties and a command center that processes more data in a second than a 1990s carrier did in a month.
She has survived the transition from the war on terror to the era of great power competition. While older ships struggle with maintenance and outdated systems, the America was built for the digital age. Her hybrid electric propulsion system makes her quieter and more fuel efficient, allowing her to linger in the shadows of the ocean, waiting for the moment her country needs her most. The legacy in the making. The USS America, LHA-6, is more than just a ship. She is a statement. She is the namesake of a nation, carrying a title that has belonged to some of the most famous vessels in history, from the schooner that won the first America's Cup to the legendary CV-66 carrier of the Cold War. She represents a pivot in history, a move from the boots-on-the-ground strategy of the 20th century to the stealth-on-the-sky reality of the 21st. To stand on her flight deck as the sun rises over the Pacific is to see the peak of human engineering. She is silent, she is fast, and she carries the most potent air wing ever seen on an amphibious ship. As long as the USS America sails, the message to the world is clear. The horizon belongs to the Lightning. She is the guardian of the deep, the queen of the expeditionary fleet, and the iron-willed protector of the American spirit. Book 2, The Silent Goliath and the South China Sea. The Invisible Shield. As the USS America steamed into the deep blue of the Philippine Sea, she wasn't just moving through water, she was moving through a web of electronic signals and satellite eyes. In the modern era, a ship this large is usually a target, but the America was designed with a stealth soul. Her hull isn't just steel, it's a carefully angled fortress designed to deflect radar. On the bridge, the silence is heavy. Unlike the chaotic shouting seen in old movies, the command center of the America operates with the quiet intensity of a high-stakes surgery. Screens glow with blue and red icons. Every plane, every submarine, and every missile within 500 miles is tracked. She is a silent Goliath, a ship that can see everything while whispering its own location to the wind. The Duel of the Dragons. In 2020, the America found herself at the center of a geopolitical chess match. While conducting operations in the South China Sea, she was shadowed by foreign warships. It was a test of nerves. The America didn't flinch. She launched her F-35Bs, not as an act of war, but as a demonstration of over-the-horizon dominance. The foreign vessels watched as the American jets took off vertically, disappeared into the clouds, and reappeared miles away in seconds. This was the new way of war. The America proved that she could hold her ground in the most dangerous no-go zones on the planet. She wasn't just a ship, she was a sovereign piece of American territory that moved wherever the president needed a firm hand. Book 3, The 24-Hour City Under the Deck. Life in the Hangar. Below the flight deck lies a world that never sleeps. The hangar bay of the USS America is vast, a cathedral of titanium and hydraulic fluid. Here, hundreds of maintainers work in the humid heat, ensuring the stealth coating on the jets is perfect. A single scratch on a wing could mean the difference between a jet being invisible or being a target. The sailors and Marines live in berthing areas, compact, tiered bunks where privacy is a luxury and the vibration of the ship's massive engines acts as a constant lullaby. In the galley, thousands of meals are served daily. You might find a kid from rural Iowa eating alongside a tech expert from Silicon Valley, both unified by the salt in the air and the mission at hand. The hospital in the hull. Hidden deep within her structure is a medical facility that rivals many mid-sized American cities. With operating rooms, ICU beds, and a full dental suite, the America is prepared for the worst day imaginable. During humanitarian missions, this warship transforms into a ship of mercy, providing life-saving surgeries to remote island nations. It is this duality, the ability to destroy a target with surgical precision or save a life with the same care, that makes her the ultimate tool of American foreign policy. Book 4, The Forge of the Lightning Carrier.
The Big Deck Evolution. The most controversial part of the America's history was her lack of a well deck. For 50 years, the Navy insisted that an amphibious ship must be able to launch boats. The America broke that tradition. She was built to prove that air superiority is the only thing that matters in a modern beach landing. If you can't control the sky, your boats will never reach the sand. The America became the laboratory for the Lightning carrier concept. In 2022, she proved she could carry double the amount of aircraft normally assigned to her. By doing so, she effectively doubled the offensive power of the U.S. Navy in the Pacific without needing to build a single new vessel. She turned the disadvantage of no well deck into the ultimate advantage of infinite air power. Epilogue: The Unwritten Chapters. The USS America, LHA-6, is still a young ship. Her paint is still relatively fresh, and her engines have decades of miles left in them. But she already carries the weight of history. She is the namesake of the very ground we stand on. She stands as a guardian in an age of uncertainty. She is a reminder that the United States is not a landlocked power, but a maritime one, a nation that lives and breathes by the freedom of the seas. When the USS America crests a wave on the far side of the world, she carries the hopes, the technology, and the iron will of the people she is named after. She is the Lightning carrier. She is the future, and her watch has only just begun.
Book 1. The Architects of Steel. Scribes and builders in medieval tunics looking over large blueprints of a massive ironclad hull in a dry dock. A full-frame medieval-style scene without any borders, decorations, or ornamental framing. Painted in 14th century style, flattened perspective, earthy tones. Book 1. The Empty Well Deck. The hollow interior of a great ship filled with barrels and crates instead of water, looking like a cavernous wooden hall. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European art style, parchment-toned lighting. Book 1. The First Breath of Steam. A great ship emitting a small plume of smoke surrounded by traditional wooden sailing vessels. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted textures, moss green and ochre colors. Book 1. The Spirit of the Lightning. A stylized lightning bolt striking a shield embossed with the name America. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, flattened perspective. Book 2. The Silent Bridge. Commanders in noble attire standing on a high wooden balcony overlooking the sea, holding ancient navigational tools. A full-frame medieval-style scene, cinematic and ancient feel. Book 2. The Web of Signals. A sky filled with golden lines and stars connecting a ship to the heavens. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European style, faded reds and browns. Book 2. The Dragon's Shadow. A large ship being watched by a sea serpent or a distant foreign fleet in a foggy sea. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted brush textures, cinematic lighting. Book 2. The Flight of the Stealth Birds. Strange wing-shaped birds with glowing eyes taking off from a flat wooden deck. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, earthy colors. Book 2. The Horizon Strike. A ship firing a bolt of fire toward a distant, unseen shore. A full-frame medieval-style scene, flattened perspective, parchment tones. Book 3. The Hangar Cathedral. A massive indoor room with high arched wooden beams filled with strange metal machines and workers. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century art style. Book 3. The Armorers. Workers in aprons polishing the skin of a metal bird with oils and cloths. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted textures, faded reds. Book 3. The Common Meal.
Soldiers sitting at long wooden tables sharing bread and wine in a dimly lit hall inside the ship. A full-frame medieval-style scene, cinematic and ancient. Book 3, The Healer's Ward. A room with beds and herbalists tending to the wounded under the light of a single candle. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style. Book 3, The Deep Sleep. Rows of sailors sleeping in small wooden bunks while the sea rages outside. A full-frame medieval-style scene, parchment-toned lighting. Book 4, The Great Sacrifice. A king-like figure removing a part of the ship to make room for more wings. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European style, moss green tones. Book 4, The Gathering of the 20. A fleet of 20 metal birds sitting on a deck like a row of silent knights. A full-frame medieval-style scene, flattened perspective. Book 4, The Island Nations. The ship arriving at a tropical island with palm trees and stone huts welcomed by people. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted brush textures, cinematic lighting. Book 4, The Storm Rider. The ship navigating through a terrifying storm with giant waves and dark clouds. A full-frame medieval-style scene, cinematic and ancient. Book 4, The Digital Oracle. A glowing map on a wooden table showing the movements of the whole world. A full-frame medieval-style scene, parchment-toned lighting. Epilogue. The sun rising over the deck. The sun peeking over the edge of the flat deck, illuminating the metal birds. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, ochre and gold colors. Epilogue. The Hand of Protection. A giant ghostly hand over the ship, shielding it from the rain. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted textures. Epilogue. The name on the hull. The word America carved into the side of the ship in ancient script. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European style. Epilogue. The Vigilant Eyes. A sailor looking through a spyglass toward a distant glowing star. A full-frame medieval-style scene, flattened perspective, earthy tones. Epilogue. The Iron Will. A blacksmith hammering a piece of the ship's hull, sparks flying. A full-frame medieval-style scene, cinematic and ancient. Epilogue. The Path of Foam. The white trail left by the ship in the dark sea, looking like a silver ribbon. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted brush textures. Epilogue. The Meeting of Ages. An old wooden sailing ship passing by the massive modern carrier. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, parchment tones. Epilogue. The Sky's Command. A commander pointing toward the clouds as the metal birds ascend. A full-frame medieval-style scene, flattened perspective. Epilogue. The Guardian of the Deep. A view of the ship from underwater, its hull looking like a dark mountain. A full-frame medieval-style scene, moss green and brown tones. Epilogue. The Eternal Vigil. The ship under a sky full of constellations, silent and powerful. A full-frame medieval-style scene, without any borders, decorations, or ornamental framing. Painted in 14th century style, cinematic, ancient, and handcrafted. Book 5, The Ghost in the Circuitry. The Silent Language of War. While the USS America is a titan of steel, her true power lies in something invisible, her electronic nervous system. In the belly of the ship, thousands of miles of fiber-optic cables hum with a life of their own. This is where the cooperative engagement capability lives. It allows the America to talk to other ships, satellites, and drones in a language humans cannot hear. There is a legend among the IT technicians on board, the ghost in the circuitry. They say that during the most intense drills, the ship's computers seem to anticipate the commander's orders a split second before they are typed. It's as if the ship herself is hungry for the mission, a digital consciousness born from the collective will of her crew. She isn't just carrying soldiers, she is thinking alongside them, filtering through millions of data points to find the one path to victory.
The Master of the Winds. One of the most terrifying yet beautiful sights on the America is the cross-decking operation during a storm. When the Pacific turns violent and the flight deck pitches up and down like a toy in a bathtub, the pilots of the F-35B must perform a dance with gravity. The ship's stabilized landing systems work in tandem with the jet's flight computer. As the pilot hovers beside the ship, the America feels like a living creature, adjusting her speed and heading to create a pocket of calm air. It is a moment of perfect harmony between man, machine, and the sea. For a U.S. audience, this is the ultimate symbol of American grit, the refusal to back down just because the weather turned sour. Book 6. The Diplomacy of the Titan. The Hand of Help. Though built for the violence of the lightning strike, the USS America has a softer side that the world often forgets. When a tsunami or earthquake hits a Pacific island, the America is often the first to arrive. Her massive hangars, once filled with jets, become warehouses for rice, water, and medicine. Her flight deck becomes a bustling international airport for helicopters carrying doctors instead of missiles. In these moments, the America represents the true heart of the nation she is named after, a superpower that uses its strength not just to dominate, but to heal. The image of the massive gray hull appearing on the horizon brings tears to the eyes of those who have lost everything. To them, she isn't a warship, she is a miracle. Book 7. The Watch Never Ends. The Passing of the Torch. Every few years, the crew of the America changes. Young men and women from every corner of the United States, from the deserts of Arizona to the skyscrapers of New York, walk up the gangway to take their place in history. They arrive as strangers and leave as part of the America family. They carry with them the iron will of the ship. They learn that on the America, there is no such thing as an individual. There is only the big blue machine. As the sun sets over the East China Sea, a lone sentry stands on the edge of the flight deck. Behind him, the F-35Bs sit like silent gargoyles under the moonlight. He knows that he is part of a lineage of guardians that stretches back to the beginning of the Republic. The Final Vigil. The USS America, LHA-6, is more than a vessel. She is a promise that no matter how far the world drifts into chaos, there will always be a piece of home patrolling the dark waters. She is the shadow in the mist that keeps the peace, the lightning in the storm that strikes the wicked, and the iron ghost that never sleeps. As long as her heart of gas and steel continues to beat, the America will remain the sovereign queen of the Pacific. She is a testament to what we can achieve when we stop looking at what we've lost and start building what we need for tomorrow. Final 10 image prompts, completing the set of 40. Book 5, The Weaver of Light. A room where golden threads of light emerge from wooden walls, weaving into a map of the world. A full-frame medieval-style scene without any borders, decorations, or ornamental framing, painted in 14th-century style, flattened perspective, earthy tones. Book 5, The Digital Ghost. A faint, glowing blue figure of a woman standing amidst massive metal gears and steaming pipes. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted textures, parchment-toned lighting. Book 5, The Storm Dance.
A metal bird hovering over a ship that is tilting dangerously in a green, churning sea. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European style, cinematic and ancient. Book 6, The Ship of Mercy. The great ship anchored near a broken village, with sailors carrying baskets of bread to the shore in small boats. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted brush textures, moss green and ochre. Book 6, The Healing Ward. A priest-like doctor in a white robe tending to a child inside a grand candle-lit hall of the ship. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, faded reds. Book 7, The New Knights. Young men and women in simple tunics receiving their helmets before a massive iron wall. A full-frame medieval-style scene, flattened perspective, parchment tones. Book 7, The Setting Sun. The silhouette of a lone guard on a high wooden tower, watching the sun dip below a gold and purple horizon. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century European style, cinematic and handcrafted. Book 7, The Gargoyles of Iron. The F-35Bs parked on the deck at night, looking like stone dragons under the moonlight. A full-frame medieval-style scene, hand-painted textures, cinematic lighting. Epilogue, The Sovereign Queen. The ship wearing a crown of stars as it glides through a sea of silver glass. A full-frame medieval-style scene, 14th century style, ochre and gold. Epilogue, The Eternal Shield. A giant shield with the stars and stripes floating front of the ship as it heads into the unknown. A full-frame medieval-style scene, without any borders, decorations, or ornamental framing, painted in the style of 14th century European historical artwork, cinematic and handcrafted.